Hello, good morning, students. Today we are going to start the chapter Lost Spring. Okay, this is the second chapter in Flamingo. So, first we will see what the title suggests. Lost Spring. Spring season, Spring season denotes what? Spring means happiness, joy, isn't it? Spring season is the symbol of happiness and joy. And when we say lost springs, so this is stories of stolen childhood. So this is related to childhood. How can you say that in childhood spring is lost? In childhood, when children are supposed to go to school, they are supposed to enjoy their life. If they are working somewhere, if they are working as laborers, so it means they have lost their childhood, they have lost their spring, they have lost their happiness, they have lost their joy. So this is a story about, there are two stories in this chapter, and the chapter has been written by Anise Jung. Okay, Anise Jung. She was born in Rourkela and spent her childhood and adolescence in Hyderabad. She received her education in Hyderabad and in the United States of America. Her parents were both writers. Anise Jung began her career as a writer in India. She has been an editor and columnist for major newspapers in India and abroad and has authored several books. This following is an excerpt from her book titled Lost Spring: Stories of Stolen Childhood. Here she analyzes the grinding poverty and traditions which condemn these children to a life of exploitation. So basically there are two stories in this chapter. The first one is Sometimes I Find a Rupee in the Garbage. This is a story about the rag pickers. Do you know what the rag pickers? Who are the rag pickers? You must have seen the rag pickers on the roads. You must have seen the rag pickers. So this is a story about a boy named Sahib, and through this character Sahib, the writer Anise Jung, she is trying to depict the plight of the condition of rag pickers in our country. Okay, so we'll start. Sometimes I find a rupee in the garbage. Why do you do this? I ask Sahib, whom I encounter every morning, scrounging for gold. Scrounging means searching for gold in the garbage dumps of my neighborhood. She looks at Sahib, who was there picking the rags, finding gold in the garbage dumps of the writer's neighborhood. Sahib left his home long ago, set amidst the green fields of Dhaka. He belonged to Dhaka. His home is not even a distant memory. He still remembers his home, which was situated in Dhaka. There were many storms, but why did he leave his place? Or why did the whole family of Sahib and the other families, they have to leave their places? Because there were many storms that swept away their fields and homes. His mother tells him that is why they left looking for gold in the big city where he now lives. So now they live in Delhi, near on the outskirts of, on the border of Delhi, and they are doing this rag picking job. Okay, I have nothing else to do, he mutters, looking away. Go to school, I said glibly. Glibly means with a very confidence in her voice, but without any serious note. Realizing immediately how hollow the advice must sound. Immediately she realized that her advice was very hollow. There was no sense in her advice, because she knows that these children don't have an opportunity to go to school. Okay, there is no school in my neighborhood. When they build one, I will go. If I start a school, will you come? I ask, half joking. Yes, he says, smiling broadly. A few days later, I see him running up to me. Is your school ready? So the writer makes a she just asks the boy Sahib, if I start a school, will you come? And he had said yes. A few days later, I see him running to me. Is your school ready? It takes longer to build a school, I say, embarrassed at having made a promise that was not meant. So the writer felt very embarrassed that she had made a promise that she will make a school, and this promise doesn't mean, actually, she doesn't mean this promise. But promises like mine abound in every corner of this bleak world. The promises which the things which she had made a promise, such types of promises are This world is full of such promises. People make promises, but they don't mean those promises. They never keep those promises. Okay. After months of knowing him, I asked him his name. So after few months, she comes to Sahib and asks him, "What is your name?" And he said, "Sahib Alam." He announces he does not know what it means. If he knew its meaning, and its meaning is Lord of the universe. Sahib Alam. Sahib means Lord, the honor, the God of the universe. He would have a hard time believing it. He would not believe it that his name suggests something which means that he is the honor of the universe and he is a rag picker. Unaware of what his name represents, he roams the streets with his friends, an army of barefoot boys. You must have seen the rag pickers. They are usually they are barefoot, okay, who appear like the morning birds and disappear at noon. Over the months, I have come to recognize each of them. "Why aren't you wearing chappals?" I asked one. "My mother didn't bring them down from the shelf." "My mother has not brought them from the market," he answers simply. "Even if she did, he will throw them off," adds another who is wearing shoes that do not match. When I comment on it, he shuffles his feet and says nothing. "I want shoes," says a third boy who has never owned a pair all his life. They're so poor. Just look at their pathetic condition that they have not even managed to get a pair of shoes all their life. Traveling across the country, I have seen children walking barefoot in cities on village roads. It is not lack of money, but a tradition to stay barefoot. So it's a very important question that they are barefooted because actually basically it is their poverty, but now it has become their tradition. Okay, so it is not lack of money but a tradition to stay barefoot is one explanation. So it has become their tradition, but that tradition has become because of their poverty. So the basic explanation is poverty. Okay, I wonder if this is only an excuse to explain away a perpetual state of poverty. Perpetual means continuous. I remember a story a man from Udupi once told me. As a young boy, he would go to school past an old temple where his father was a priest. He would stop briefly at the temple and pray for a pair of shoes. So that boy used to pray for a pair of shoes. 30 years later, I visited this town and the temple, which was now drowned in an air of desolation, which is now a deserted place. In the backyard where lived the new priest, there were red and white plastic chairs. A young boy dressed in a grey uniform, wearing socks and shoes, arrived panting and threw his school bag on the folding bed. Looking at the boy, I remembered the prayer another boy had made to the goddess when he had finally got a pair of shoes. So that boy used to pray for a pair of shoes. "Let me never lose them," the goddess had granted his prayer. Young boys like the son of the priest now wore shoes, but many others like the rag pickers in my neighborhood remained shoeless. So she is making a comparison that the son of the priest, such people that they have shoes, but what about these rag pickers? They always remain shoeless. Okay, my acquaintance with the barefoot rag pickers leads me to Simapuri. Now this is the name of the place where they live. These rag pickers live, a place on the periphery of Delhi, yet miles away from it metaphorically. So this is symbolic. Periphery means outskirts, border of Delhi. This place is situated on the periphery of Delhi, on the outskirts of Delhi, on the border of Delhi, but this is very, very far away from it. Far away from it means this is symbolically that in the respect of progress, development, this place has nothing to do with Delhi. Those who live here are squatters who came from Bangladesh back in 1971. So I've already told you that these people have come from Bangladesh. Sahib's family is among them. Simapuri was then a wilderness. Wilderness means without any human population. It still is, but is no longer empty. In structures of mud, with roofs of tin and tarpaulin, devoid of sewage. Their roofs are made of tin and tarpaulin, devoid of sewage. Sewage, sewage system. There is no sewage system, drainage or running water. There live 10,000 rag pickers. So they live in such a pathetic condition. They have lived here for more than 30 years without an identity, without permits, but with ration cards. They have got ration cards that get their names on voters list and enable them to buy grain. Food is more important for survival than an identity. If at the end of the day we can feed our families and go to bed without an aching stomach, we would rather live here than in the fields that gave us no grain. So when you ask these people, why have you left your place and have come to this place where their life has become such a miserable situation, so these people say that food is very important for us, because in their places their farms, their fields had been destroyed, and they were not able to get food there. So they said, though they have got their identity there, but they say that food is very important, food is more important than our identity. Okay, at the end of the day, it is very important for, actually this is important for anybody. Food is the basic necessity for anyone. Okay, says a group of say a group of women in tattered saris, when I asked them why they left their beautiful land of green fields and rivers. Wherever they find food, they pitch their tents and become their transit homes. Transit means the temporary homes. Children grow up in them, becoming partners in survivals. And survivor in Simapuri means rag picking. Through the years, it has acquired the proportion of a fine art. It has become, again, this is a very sarcastic line, that it has become a fine art. Garbage to them is gold. This is as valuable as gold for these people. It is their daily bread, a roof over their heads, even if it is a leaking roof. But for a child, it is even more. For adults, for adults, for adults, it is as valuable as gold. But for children, this is even more. For children, this process of rag picking is something very different. I sometimes find a rupee, even a 10 rupee note says Sahib, his eyes lighting up. When you can find a silver coin in the heap of garbage, you don't stop scrounging, for there is a hope of finding more. So it's just fun for the children. They are just hopeful that they'll get something new, something more in the garbage. It seems that for children, garbage has a meaning different from what it means to their parents. For the children, it is wrapped in wonder. For the elders, it is a means of survival. So this is a very important question. How is garbage different from, or how does garbage mean different for children and for adults? So for children, it is a fun, it is a wonder, it's a wonderful thing, and for adults, it is a means of survival. Okay. One winter morning, I see Sahib standing by the fenced gate of the neighborhood's club, watching two young men dressed in white playing tennis. He was very fond of playing tennis. I like the game, he hums, content to watch it standing behind the fence. I go inside when no one is around, he admits. The gatekeeper lets me use the swing. So, actually, he cannot afford to buy tennis shoes and play tennis. Okay. Sahib too is wearing tennis shoes that look strange over his discolored shirt and shorts. Someone gave them to me, he says in the manner of an explanation. The fact that they are discarded shoes of some rich boy who perhaps refused to wear them because of a hole in one of them. Maybe some rich boy some rich boy has left those shoes because it has a hole in one of them. But it does not bother him. For one who has walked barefoot, even shoes with a hole is a dream come true. Okay, it's a very important line, that the shoes with a hole, that is like a dream coming true for the people, for the rag pickers, because they don't have shoes at all. But the game he is watching so intently is out of his reach. But this game of tennis. This morning, Sahib is on his way to the milk booth. In his hand is a steel canister. I now work in the tea stall down the road, he says, pointing to the distance. I am paid 800 rupees. Again, it's a very important question. He has got job in a tea stall and he is getting 800 rupees there, and all my meals free. Does he like the job? I asked. Though he was doing a very cleaner job, a very as compared to rag picking, this working at the tea stall was a very comfortable and a better job there. But when you ask Sahib, do you like this job? His face, I see, has lost the carefree look. The steel canister seems heavier than the plastic bag he would carry so lightly. So he says that the steel canister which he carries, is heavier than the plastic bag in which he used to put the rags. And he would carry so lightly over his shoulder. The bag was his. This is a very important line. The bag was his. It means he has lost his freedom while working in the tea stall. The canister belongs to the man who owns the tea shop. Sahib is no longer his own master. So this is the reason why Sahib does not like working at the tea stall. Though he was getting 800 rupees there, he was leading a very comfortable life there. His life has become more, he was doing a very clean job there. And because rag picking is just a sort of a very dirty sort of thing, but still he does not like working at the tea stall because he has lost his freedom there, and he has to follow the instructions of his master, the owner of the shop, and that is why he says that he is no longer his own master. So this is the story about Sahib, the rag picker family who has shifted from Bangladesh because their fields, their farms, they have been destroyed by the storms, and now they are living in Simapuri. There is a brief description of Simapuri there, devoid of sewage and all these things, and they have no identity there, though they are getting food because they are doing this filthy job of rag picking, but it has become a means of survival for the adults, but for children it is a wonderful thing. It is a fun for them. Okay, so this is a story about Sahib. Okay, in the next video I'll explain the second story. I want to drive a car.